Welcome back to BLT Hunting and Fishing. Today I'm going to talk about my bow early season, like the first early season of bow hunting in Iowa. It's been a little rough. I shot a doe early season so I could get some meat in the freezer, and I did get that one on film, but I didn't want to get demonetized because I hit the back artery in the back leg of the doe, and it was a little disturbing, I'd say, to little people, and so I didn't get to put that one up, but I did shoot a doe early, and then it started snowing, so the deer started moving, and it was early rut starting, and I don't know how to say this. They kind of didn't know what to do because during the rut in Iowa, it snows sometimes and it snows sometimes it doesn't. And last year it didn't. So they were a little confused and they were trying to get used to it still during the rut. So they're moving all over the place. And when I was trying to figure out where these deer, like these big deer were, I had one on trail camera that was big. I wanted him and he was probably close to 160. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go after this deer. So I went down, put a tree stand down, and there's corn in there, and it's a long walk down there. And so I didn't get to get in there till late, late September into October. So I was back late into there, and I seen this deer first night out. Seen this big deer out at 200 yards. And I could see his antlers from where I was sitting. I could just see his antlers. So I knew it was him. And then he came a little closer into I range finded him the last time at 106. And I'm bow hunting. So if I would have had a muzzle loader, it would have been a done deal if I would have made the shot. But I was bow hunting. So I was trying to get him in here. I was grunting, and it was early rut, so he looked, and he kind of was trying to come, but he kind of just wandered off, didn't really want to come in yet, so it was early, so I started rattling. That perked him up a little bit, and he started coming down the trail from me, and gets in front of me, and I thought it was too early for them to be chasing does right now, but so I got ready, and I pulled back on this deer, and I was shaking because it's the biggest deer in my life. This right here, this one's my second biggest, and it scored 147. So I'm trying to go after this 160 just to put one on the other wall because we have quite a few walls that need to be filled with deer around here. So I'm trying to get that done, and so I pulled back on this buck, and I got on him. And then he started kind of moving out, and I looked up, and there was a doe standing there at 40, I'd say 40 yards. And so I was like, I need to make the shot now. So I'm about to pull the trigger, and all of a sudden this deer darts right at this doe and was chasing him. And I tried to get him grunt, and he didn't come in. So that's how that first hunt went, and I was like, okay, he's going to come back. He's around here. And I started seeing him every night. I got him on trail cameras, big deer, and he has a kicker coming out the right side. He's got a drop tine on the left, just a little one, but if that thing was long, I've never seen a deer with a kicker and a drop tine, so I was like, this is gonna be a good deer, and so I was like, okay, it's gonna happen because it's gotta happen. Rut hasn't even started yet. Well, didn't think rut even started yet, so I was like, this is gonna be a fun year, and I get back out there the one morning, and I have a bean field behind me and a bean field to the right of me. And I look back, and there's this big buck just standing down at the creek about 400 yards. That's a long way down there. Got my rangefinder, I looked, and it was definitely him. And started grunting. He came up and winded me. I was like, oh. So I didn't know really what to do after that, because he kind of was iffy, so he kind of just wandered off, And so I knew he wasn't too spooked, so I was like, okay, he might come back. That night I got out there, didn't see him. Didn't see him the next night, didn't see him the next night. All of a sudden, here he came again. And he got in there, and he's at 40 yards. And my farthest pin is at 40 yards. And I was like, well, I don't want to take this shot because 40 yards I don't feel comfortable with. I always said 30 is my longest because I have a 15, a 25, a 30, and a 40. I kind of just did the 40 just to be like, maybe something will happen like this. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to pull back, get ready. And I pulled back. And I was like, okay, he's not going to get any closer. So I got my 40 pin on him. And there's twigs in the way. It's this tree that kind of, the tree branches kind of comb over. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to sit here. And I drew back for a good 4 minutes. My arms were hurting after that, but I watched him walk off for the second or third time. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hit this guy hard, and I'm going to go after him. At this point, it was getting to rut. It was pretty much full rut. So when I would grunt, the deer would come right at me. So I started seeing 16 to 17 deer a night. And I was like, that's pretty good for where I hunt. And so I got ready. I was getting everything set up, and all of a sudden I look back and there's this big buck. It wasn't him, but it was a big buck about that size. And so I grunted. He ran up to me and got in there at 15 yards and was just standing there, perfect broadside. And I was like, he can take another year. And then this other buck came in behind him and spooked him off. But I was like, this buck's gonna be, he's still here, and I know he is here. So I was like, I'm just gonna let him pass him up and wait for this deer to come. And didn't see him. And one morning he popped out of the creek 400 yards behind me, and I grunted, and he had a doe on in front of him, and I knew I wasn't gonna get him because he was hot. He wanted that doe, so he took off running after her and went the wrong way. So I was like, well, just gonna sit here and wait for hopefully that doe comes up, and he never did. So I just sat there for a couple more nights, and at this point, before all this even happened, I went pheasant hunting down here, and I seen this buck, and I didn't even know. This was like early September, and I wasn't pheasant hunting. I was just looking for pheasants because it wasn't season, so I couldn't really shoot any because that'd be illegal. But I've seen a lot of pheasants down there, so I was like, okay, I'm going to be able to pheasant hunt down here. I walk in 50 yards, and this 3 bucks gets up, and this little one gets up, and then this other bigger one gets up, and he had a drop down in the kicker. And this buck, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out how these deer and where they're going. Because it was kind of good the corn was in there, but it's kind of bad because they weren't going to go into that corn. So I knew he was going to come down and be sitting in the timber or in the bean field behind me. So I was like, okay. So one night I get in there when the corn is still in there, and I couldn't see him, but he was walking down the thing, and then I finally did see him when he came out of the corn, but he just followed the corn all the way up. He didn't want to get off there. And then, of course, does came in, and that just got him crazy. So he just took off, and then so that's been my hunt for the last 2-3 months, and I've been out in the blind for I bet over 40 hours. I sit almost every night, and on the weekends I sit full sits and try to do what I have to because I want this deer bad. So that's what I'm trying to keep you guys updated because I haven't been getting too much action on the camera side because they've just been coming in, and since it's rut, they're not staying long. So by the time I try to get the camera rolled around, because he's usually behind me, so I gotta reach the camera around, I can't get it on it yet. But I did get a little clip of me grunting, but I have to try to find that, and I can't find it. So that's been my hunt. So I'm still glad I got a buck, but I have second season. In Iowa, you can group hunt, so I got second season group hunting. And then I got muzzleloader because I got a youth tag. And then bow starts back up right after second season, so I can go second season. And I'm ready for some turkey hunting though. That'll be fun. And so make sure to go check out. This is iBobber. They helped me out with this video, and it's an app where you can you throw out this little bobber looking thing, and it's a sonar that looks for fish, and it works for ice fishing. You can tie it onto a reel and throw it out there, and it floats. And you can download it on your phone and see it. And then another people they're kind of set up with these guys, but it's Netfish, and Netfish is a app where you can get it on your phone, and you can win points of posting pictures. You can win points by getting likes and all that. So make sure to go download that app because it's a great app. I love it. And go make sure to check out my buddy at KGC Fishing. He's giving me some big tips on hunting. He's up in northern Minnesota, Bemidji area, and he's out there for a pretty nice buck that he's seen. So he's out there. He's been working his butt off. He's been texting me back and forth. He's been having a rough season, but he's getting it done pretty soon here, and he's been seeing a lot of deer, and so I'm glad for him. So make sure to go check him out. I'll leave a link down in our description, and so I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching BLT Hunting and Fishing.